product and I want to share with you, and I know you're going to be as excited about it as I am. So before we get into that, Lindsay is here manning the questions and answers. Be sure to pop in and say hi and let us know where you're from. We're starting a little bit early today. We couldn't wait until later. We were so excited about this it's a brand new brush, and we've kind of been dropping hints all along about a new brush coming shortly. So it arrived yesterday. We were kind of worried it wasn't supposed to come until today. So everything kind of got shuffled around, and here we are and ready to announce it. And coming in just a little bit early. So if you have any questions, be sure to pop in and let us know what they are. I think once you learn about these new brushes, it's going to be something that every painter needs in their stash, and you'll use it often.
It's a very versatile brush.
It's I should say it's the Diverse Drybrush. And named it Diverse because it is so incredibly diverse. And I wanted to share with you today several of the techniques. And the more I use it, the more I find that it's able to do. So I think it's one of those almost kind of a magical brush. It just has so many different aspects. It's going to be amazing. And I'm just thrilled to be able to share that with you.
All right, you want to flip the camera?
Okay, let's get started.
Great.
Should I say ta-da? This is the Diverse Drybrush, and there's several different things that make it really, really unique. One is the mixture of bristle. It has a synthetic as well as a bristle, so it's sort of soft and sort of stiff. So it's kind of the best between soft brushes and bristle brushes. And it just offers a really unique bounce and life to it, which makes it really super easy to use. This is a round brush. Most dry brushes are flat. This one's round. And the tip goes toward a tapered point, which gives it even more versatility. This works well with acrylics. It's perfect for acrylics, but it works well with oils. It can be used in fabric painting, and it's soft enough to even be used with watercolors. So in addition to being able to do so many different techniques, it works with different mediums as well. There are 7 different sizes. And I will say, when I was creating these, this little guy over here is a 0. I almost put him out of the family, but
are you missing one? Are you missing one? 1,
2, 3, 4. I am. Which one am I missing? Wait a minute. It's 0. I don't have the number 2.
Okay, I'll be back.
Okay, so there are 7. Lizzie's counting and going, oh my goodness, there's only 6. So I did miss one. But they go from a small to a large. And I found out working with dry brushing, the different size tips are amazing to use together. And I'll show you how I do some of those. These are great for highlighting. I've even used them for stenciling. They're great for texturizing, antiquing. There's so many different ways that these brushes can be used. So while she is getting the brushes, I'm going to go ahead and switch over here. And the number 2 fits right between these 2. And she has to go over to the warehouses in a different section to get the brushes. I think I hear her coming now, so we'll just pop that one right in here.
Live TV, you know.
Yeah, makes it a little bit interesting. Lindsay's getting her steps in today. Okay, that makes a bigger family. So you can see all the different sizes. They're just graduated. I thought I would use one more than the other, but honestly, I have found out the more I use these, I kind of use them all pretty much evenly. There's not one I prefer over another because they all bring different aspects to whatever I'm using them for. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to work on a black background because I think it shows up best on camera. Let me make sure I get it right in there. And I wanted to start first with clouds. I know a lot of people have difficulty doing clouds. And I was playing around with clouds, and oh my goodness, they're just like a real snap with these brushes. Just going to use Snow White paint. I'm using the DecoArt acrylic. Make sure your paint is shaken well, because if you have that medium on top that's a little more fluid, these dry brushing techniques do not work with a wet brush. And what happens if the paint is too thin, it's just going to dampen the bristles down, and it's not going to maintain that dry brush effect. It's called dry brush for a reason. I'm just going to dip the tip of it into the paint. I want to make sure that I have a lot of paint on my brush. I'm going to tap it in. I want paint in all the bristles, not just on that tip. I want to work it in. And you can see it's loaded fairly evenly all the way around. Then I'm just going to put it on a paper towel and swirl it around and around and around. That's going to take off the heavy layer of paint, and it's going to work it into the bristles. And the bristles are tapered for a reason. When I start to, maybe I'll just do a couple little strokes here. When I start to dry brush, it's going to be small. And this is a little bit heavy on the paint. I don't want a solid. And then I can just lightly dry brush. And you can see the center is going to become darker and the outer areas lighter, just naturally because of that point. You see how that focuses in. So this paint needs to go from opaque pretty much to translucent. And it doesn't look like there's much on the brush, but I'm still able to go back and create a lot of dry brushing with, even when it looks like there's nothing on it. And I usually kind of test it on my finger before I jump into it. If you get a real heavy area of paint, it's kind of hard to go back and lift that out. You can soften it down, but it's just going to be very strong. To do a cloud, I'm just going to reload my brush, get that paint in there. Again, I'm going to go back to that paper towel and wipe. The best results are created with layers. And you know my motto, a little bit of paint makes a big difference. No different than with the dry brush. So if I want to create clouds, wipe a little more off, a little more off. I have a very, very light touch, and I can go back, and I'm just doing a swirl. We're not going to make a big cloud. We'll just do a little cloud today. And see how I can create that shape of a cloud. And I can go back and soften it. The more I go over it, the softer it becomes. See how it becomes kind of just very muted and cloud-like. If I want to go in and, you know how you create the layers of clouds? I'm just going to take my brush and side load it with just a little bit of paint. I hit it on paper towel once, but I can go in and see how it's on the edge of the brush. It's not everywhere, so I can just enhance those areas where I want it to be a little bit stronger. I'm going to go back and just get a touch more.
And for those of you just joining us, these are Chris's brand new brushes. They're the Diverse Drybrush. They come in 7 different sizes, and they are available individually or on our website in a bundle. And if you purchase the bundle, they're 10% off in the bundle.
And you will enjoy every size. I mean, every size is just amazing. I've been working on these brushes for a couple years and kind of honed down on the bristle last year, and I received my prototype brushes. And so I've been kind of using them incognito. So I can show you some of the things I've done with them. So I can go back and play with these. And what's fun about this really looks cloud-like, but I can go in with different colors and I can create a lot of diversity in the cloud just by using different tones of color. I wanted to stick with white on black because I thought that would be the most contrast and create the most effect. That was super easy. Everybody agree. That just did not take long at all. So clouds, I kind of got carried away last night. I put a little pink in it. I put a little blue in it, a little purple in them. They're just absolutely beautiful. I can go back and just really, I don't think you can do clouds wrong, but just look how you can build those up and create that fluffiness. On that same mindset, if I wanted to do smoke, this is a little chimney I painted down here. And I think for the smoke, I'm going to bump down to a smaller size. I don't want a great big plume of smoke. So I am jumping down. The brush I just used was a number 10. And there's one just a little bit bigger. So you can go with larger clouds down to teeny tiny clouds. I'm gonna load this. This is the number 8. And I'm just wiping that excess off on a paper towel. And I can just start to, I'm using a very light pressure. I always start with a light pressure until I know exactly how much paint is on my brush. I can go over my finger. I can see it start to build on my finger. It's not heavy. I'm not getting any heavy residue of paint. So I can just start to create that look of smoke, very soft and smoky. I'm not going to reload. I'm just going to go back over that. Oh my goodness. Even if I wanted to, I'm going to jump down to a smaller brush. This is a number 4. And I'm just going to highlight some of that smoke. Look how easy that is. Oh my goodness, it's super easy. If I want to highlight the chimney, I can just dry brush down there. So these are different techniques that can be used in addition to highlighting and shading, which I think you're all familiar with, just adding that little bit of highlight and shading.
So Lisa joining us on YouTube said that those look great for bushes and other foliage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The more you use these, I think you'll find so many different uses for them. And because of the unique shape, it makes it even more versatile. If I want to do like a smoke trail, you know, like Halloween, where you've got that little bit of, I call it a magic dust trail. You put some sparkles in it. This is the frog I did for the Hocus Pocus, and I did use it for the magic dust trail on this. You can go back and enhance that a little bit. I want to keep it softer. Way too much paint. I should have wiped it off. I'm in a hurry. I'm just excited. I want to share everything. And because this has such a soft amount of paint that comes off of it, if it's downloaded correctly, it's very translucent, so you can paint over like the frog's hat. It's just absolutely wonderful. And I did add this after I painted the frog. So what I did was I just dropped down to a smaller brush just to kind of go in and around the frog. That way I didn't have to do some of it, paint the frog, and then do more. I have that flow and consistency. Because this is pointed and round, it's very easy to just get in those tiny areas and still have that nice flow. Great control on these brushes.
Anne joining us on YouTube wants to know what's the best way to clean them.
I clean them the same way that I clean my other brushes. I use the Deco Magic brush cleaner. I have my little, give me that little scrubby too.
That's another bottle.
We keep laughing. This bottle is
seen better days.
Yeah, it ran down, but you can tell it's good stuff because it ran down the label and it took the paint off. So you know it works, right? But I use a brush scrubby and Deco Magic and just scrub it out. You do need to be aware. I load the paint well, but I try to keep an eye on down in the ferrule because you use a dry brush. It's not going to take long for that paint to dry in the brush. So if it gets dry in the ferrule, you have to work pretty diligently to get that paint out. Feel it. I mean, it's just, I'm always amazed at, even though it feels dry, how much more I can offload the brush. Just absolutely the coolest thing ever. This is great for halos, like around the candle flame, if you want to bring rays out. And this brush I haven't used for a bit, but look at all the paint that still comes off of that. So if you're doing anything with a light ray and you want that to come out, I can strengthen that a little bit more. And I'm just not offloading as much paint. And I can pull that down and strengthen it. Okay, I just had a thought. If that's like a sunny area, I'm going to make this cloud just a little stronger right there, where that sun's bouncing off of it. All right, and then I can strengthen the center, make that even stronger. So I can really build up those colors. I used this technique on these candles, and I put a lot of candle glow on there. I went down to this little baby brush, and I really used that to pull out those tiny little lines. I wasn't sure when I painted this cluster of candle flames with all that glow, but I think with these brushes, it really turned out beautifully. Also use that to dry brush down the center of the candles to help enhance that highlight, as well as in the center of the flame. So these are pieces that I use kind of incognito. On that same concept, I used a bigger brush to pull out these rays and to kind of go around the tree. I wanted the tree to glow. So this was a really good way to add those rays in there. I was thinking, I did this project a couple years ago. It's been a little while. But I did the little scooter, and I thought how easy that would be with these brushes. I could do those little Get a little more paint. I switched over to should have used one of the brushes I already had loaded. And then I'm going to go back to this bigger one. So I can create some really nice motion with these brushes. Let's see how that, I mean, just that easy. I had to work pretty hard to get that other one on there. Super easy. And you can tell when it's time to reload if you do want a stronger stroke. That's when it's time to reload. If I want to use this little baby brush and just add very distinct lines, I can switch over the size. Just so nice to be able to use a combination of these. Okay, I wanted to do, I was playing around last night and I thought it would be fun to create a bubble. And let's just go with.
And yes, you can stencil with them.
You can stencil with them. Okay, here's the difference between stenciling with a dry brush and our spectacular stencil brushes. The bristles on the spectacular stencil brush are super soft. You're going to get a beautiful stencil with this. You can get opacity with this. I did stencil these two shapes with the stencil brush. The dry brush will achieve that, but you can't wash it out and go to the next color as you can with the spectacular stencil brushes. So if you want to use other colors with this, keep this in mind. You can't wash it out and go to the next color. So I have created this look of a translucent bubble. Just going to go back.
Kind of looks like a crystal ball.
Yeah, well, there you go, Lindsay. We can do crystal balls with that. Just want to strengthen that outer edge a little bit. Okay, so we've got that bubble shape going on. I'm going to go into, let me get just a little bit of color on here. Just going in with a little bit of watermelon slice. Do you want to make sure this is dry? Not going to take long with dry brushing to dry, but if you put a wet color on top of it and it's not completely dry, it's going to blend. I'm just going to put a little bit of color on the edge of this bubble. I'm just letting it build. Get that hint of pink. Ooh, isn't that pretty? And I'm going to go with blue. Put the stencil back on. Just that little bit of blue. And I'm just doing a very light swirl around the edge. Kind of looks bubbly. Just need I can go in with this baby stencil or baby dry brush.
Someone said that also looks like the moon.
Anything round, you can really enhance it. I would go back later with my little Epic script liner. Just brighten that up. I mean, I didn't spend any time doing this, but if you wanted to really work on bubbles and build them up, it's so easy to do. These dry brushes just make it a snap. If I wanted to create a holly berry, and I went ahead and stenciled this with melon because I'm working with a black background and I wanted it to glow. I'm going back with just a little bit of watermelon slice. How can I run out of room? I'm just little surfaces here. I'm going to take and work that in. And I want to make this a red berry, not a pink berry. So I'm just going to go around the edges, blend it toward the center. Now, I would say it would be best to do 2 light coats instead of 1 heavy coat, because what will happen is as it dries, it's going to start picking up the wet paint and moving it around. And it's not going to be smooth and even. I'm going to dry that a little bit. Very, very light touch. By going around the outer sides, I automatically create a lighter spot towards the center. Still want this to be just a little more red. So what I'm doing is I'm increasing my pressure, and I still have a lighter spot in the middle. Give that a little bit of a dry. Going back again with deep burgundy. I'm going to deepen that color a little bit. I have blue in my brush. I'm trying to work that color out. What you can do if you have another color in the brush, instead of washing it out, just load it with that paint and work it until you get that other color residue out. And I can tell my paint's just a little bit thin. I need to shake it just a bit more. You can tell when it's not a strong pigment. It just needs to be mixed a little more. Okay. Just going to go back with my stencil. Here we go. Deepen that shading, mostly along the bottom and the right side. That's where I tend to. See how it's starting to build up? I can go in with a little bit of a lighter color. I'm using Snow White. I don't need to put my stencil there, but I am just because that gives me a good visual on where my highlight is. And I can start to add that highlight in there. I can go in with just a little more. This is black plum. For those of you that are not a big fan of shading and highlighting, this is kind of like the easy way to do it. To me, it's almost foolproof. The only thing is just knowing not to overload your brush. Just take your time, work slowly, don't work fast, and just put that on there. Look how that brings that out. I can go back even more and add brighter highlights. I did use that same concept on the ornament where I started light and then I kept adding colors around towards the highlight area. Just look how that glows. Such a soft highlight. I kind of did a little bit of smudging in the background to create that look of distant light glow. And that was just a simple circle. Same thing on the egg shape. Let's go this way. Just going to build it up the same way. Just put a little bit of color in there.
Can you move it up slightly? Thank you.
My paint is creeping forward, so I'm running out of under the camera space. Normally I would anchor my stencil down, but I'm kind of... For those of you that have trouble shading rounded areas, oh my gosh, this is almost a godsend. Look how that starts to soften up, become very rounded. I'll go back to the white. Now's a real good time for bird eggs, so just that simple. Could go back and add a little bit more shading on there. I'm not sure what black plum will do. I don't have a darker blue out. This is okay, Lindsay. We'll see what it does. Ooh. Just going to add that little bit of softness in there. I have my stencil shifted down just a little bit. Again, going back and doing a couple light coats, isn't that pretty? Just so simple. A couple light coats really makes a huge difference as opposed to one heavy coat. And I was having fun. Sometimes I like to just add texture, and I wondered how this would work with texture. Let's see, where's my big brush here? I'm going to go with, I did a little bit of texture on the background before I painted it black, and I just used modeling paste and a stencil. And I laid the stencil down and I took my palette knife and I just went over it and created that texture, the thickness of the stencil. I think this is going to be mostly pink because I had red in my brush. But I wanted you to see how easily it is to create a unique texture. And I'm just going to begin to dry brush. It's like magic. This is the coolest thing ever. You see that design starting to evolve. You see that? Is it showing up, Lindsay?
I think you need to zoom out just a bit because the camera's having problems focusing.
Zoom in?
Zoom out. Just a smidge.
Oh. Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a very light touch, and I can do kind of a crisscross. Oh, there it goes. This is a great way to do antiquing if you want something to be a little bit pronounced, just to dry brush over a raised shape. It just really makes it pop. Very rustic looking. That was one of our collage stencils that I used. This, I don't want to push down and swirl so much as wipe across because I just want the bristles to pick up on that raised surface. I took the palette knife and I just kind of scraped it across right here. This is one of my favorite techniques because this will give you the look of stucco. Is that showing up, Lindsay?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the coolest thing? And it's just paper thin scrape of texture paste, modeling paste. And this is a really cool way to add unique texture very, very quickly. Don't you love how that looks? Just really impressive. And I did this on black for more contrast. So if I were to do this, probably I would do it more of a stucco color, and then you're not going to get all this background kind of mist. This almost looks like Halloween fog. But I've done this technique on tombstones, and this is a really great way to create that look of old aged cement and get that texture of a tombstone. Use different colors, kind of the earthy colors, the raw umbers, the cobblestones, those milky colors. Okay. I think you can see how versatile these brushes are. They can go from simple shading and highlighting. You can do star rays, candle halos, clouds. We've got the kind of the magic trail. There's so many different things that I have used these for, and to me it's so easy to grab the brush and just do ding, 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 and then create that subtle look. Because it's round, it's easy to create the rounded shapes. It's easy to stay on the tip because of the point and do those little rays. You have super control with all the different sizes. I have used, like on this one, I start out with a bigger brush and went down to the smaller brush to get those tinier highlights. It's just amazing. This brush is so diverse. This is the Diverse Drybrush. Just revolutionary. I think you're going to absolutely find out that you'll use it every single time you paint. And it's going to make you look good. I like tools that make me look good, and I don't have to work really hard to create that effect that I'm going for. If you have trouble creating cheeks, oh my goodness, this is my little snowman. I use this to create these beautiful cheeks. Use the big brush for the big cheeks. Drop down to the little guys down here. Drop down to the smaller cheeks. Then again, this little baby one, this tiny one, if you're doing little teeny tiny cheeks, you won't want to do without this brush. Are there any questions, Lindsay?
No.
I use this brush to do the highlights on the ice cream cones, even those little spots like in between, just to really ramp those up. On the scarf, I'm telling you, this brush is going to be so incredibly invaluable. Highlights on the hat, because of all the different sizes, it doesn't matter what size your project is, it's going to work out. We do have a special. They're on sale. They're online and available for sale right now.
Yes.
We do have a special. If you get the bundle, all 7 sizes, you get an additional discount on those.
Yes.
And Lindsay has put all the links on there. She makes it real easy for you, so you don't have to go in and pick out each one. If you had to pick just a couple, I don't think you can go wrong with any of them you pick. I think you're going to be thrilled with all of the sizes. I have found, you know, when I did the demos today, I used all of them except this one. I forgot him. He was under my palette, but use all of them. It's just amazing what they create.
No, Barbara asked if we'll be in Chattanooga. No, we are not in Chattanooga.
I think Chattanooga's going on right now.
It's going on right now. Yeah, we're back in Ohio right now. But yeah, we don't do conventions anymore. So, but
okay, this is a little bit different. But on that same line, I did a dog treat box. Was it last week, Lindsay?
yeah.
Yes. So I did the dog treat box, and it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's a little big for the camera. Ooh,
Go back there.
Oh,
Okay, there we go. It is Bon Appetit, and it was a dog and the dog bone. And there's a box that he fits on. Okay. So we've got the wooden box, all right, and there's Velcro in it, and you just stick the dog in there. Velcro him on there, and then put the bone on the front. And you've got your dog treat box. Well, I heard a lot of cat people say, hey, we need a cat. So I did the cat. And this is the Meow cat treat box. Oh, I did this one in the golden colors. Some people call them orange.
He's a ginger cat.
A ginger cat. I did that in honor of Lindsay's cat. And this is the little fish that fits on. This box is really cute because it swaps out. That's what the snowman goes in as well. He fits down in there. So I first did the snowman. He has a little snowman that goes on the front. Did the dog and did the cat. I've got quite a few other designs I'm working on. When I was doing this cat, I was excited because I knew the brushes were coming in. And
I gotta say something.
Okay.
The cat's just perfect.
Aww.
I'm here all
One
day.
for Lindsay. I did on the legs. Oh my gosh. I used the dry brush on the legs. I used it on the cheeks. I used it on the nose. I highlighted his tail, her tail, the tops of the paws. It just made creating this so simple. Just really added that soft highlight, so easy. And I think oftentimes when working on bigger pieces, adding those highlights in there, I even put a few on his face. But you know, adding those highlights in sometimes it's kind of a chore. I mean, it just takes a lot of time to get those in there and get them looking good. But with these diverse dry brushes, it was really easy. Okay, I think.
Someone just asked what the snowman piece was called. That's the snowman ice cream cones, and I did put the link in the chat.
Yeah. He's a cute little guy. Okay, so my brushes have all been used. They're not as pretty as they were when I started out, but I'll tell you what, you are going to be amazed at how diverse these brushes are and what all they can create. I think I'll be doing more demos on them because I know there's more techniques that are available that I haven't even begun to show you yet.
And again, they are available individually, but you definitely want to take advantage of the bundle price because you get an extra 10% off. You can get all 7 brushes for like $32 and change. So it's definitely a deal. 7 brushes for $32 and change. So
listen to Lindsay, she knows.
It's a good deal.
It is a very good deal.
So, can we flip the camera?
All right.
All right.
So don't forget, Diverse Drybrushes will change your life. Amazing brushes, truly diverse, very unique. The construction is excellent, top quality. They're going to last a long time. Clean them up when you're finished with the Deco Art brush and stencil cleaner. Make sure you clean them well. These are great brushes. You need to take great care of them. So anything else, Lindsay?
No.
All right. Don't forget to join us tomorrow. We have a special. Jen was dared into painting a duck.
I wouldn't call dared. I would say challenged and accepted by not herself.
Oh, okay. Lindsay accepted the challenge for her. So she is going to be painting a duck. And I think Linda O'Connell will be joining us.
We're hoping we can get Linda in on the channel too. We're going to try and do that. But yes, tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern, Jen and hopefully Linda O'Connell will be painting together. Jen just said voluntold.
Voluntold, that's a good word.
That's pretty much what happened. She's a good sport though, and she's going to do an amazing job.
Well, she did do a couple prototypes.
Yes,
and I will say, Jen's not been painting like decorative painting.
Maybe 9 months.
Yeah. So very impressed with the progress that she's made, and she has a really steady hand. Done a great job. So join us tomorrow. Support Jen.
Yes.
I think you'll be quite entertained. I know it'll be impressive because she really did do a great job. And I know tomorrow she'll do a great job as well. So
tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, join us for that.
On
Cheer Jen on.
Yeah, she needs her cheering squad. Go, Jen, go.
Yep.
Thursday is the semi-pro stenciling at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock Eastern.
Don't miss that. And then next Tuesday, I have a free class video, and that will be posted on
YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay.
And someone had asked earlier about free lessons and videos. There are over 100 on the Create with Chris playlist on our YouTube channel. There are quite a few full project videos on there. They are sped up slightly, some of them, but you can pause at your leisure while you're painting along. So be sure to check all those out. There's all kinds of, you've got Halloween, Christmas, winter, you name it, it's up there. So be sure to check that out too. It's the Create with Chris playlist on our YouTube channel.
And while you're there, give me a thumbs up and click like, because that does help. And that way, also, if you subscribe, you won't miss out on future videos.
So,
okay. All righty. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Check out the Diverse Drybrush. You won't be sorry. It's a fantastic brush. Pick up the bundle, save some money, and use them every time you paint. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today. As always, a little bit of paint makes a big difference, and we'll see you next on our next painting adventure. Bye-bye.